morning, good evening, everyone. Welcome everyone to come to this vibrant energy community. Our team is called Holistic Frequency. So today, well, first of all, let me introduce myself if you don't know who I am. I'm Michelle. I am working with May. And I quit my pharmacist job and to become a holistic nutritionist. And I'm very interested in all kinds of natural, alternative, complementary remedies and therapy. So I think Healy is one of the best tools that I come across. And it started with the story of my mother, who's 100 years old. Actually, she will be 101 now. Yeah. So I started to use Healy to help my mom to regain her health. So that's why I'm very passionate to share about this powerful tool because it can be a very good tool, not just for physical health, but it can be for body, mind, and spirit. So I know most of you already using it, and you most likely can, agree with me, right? Yeah. Okay. So for whoever who are a new user, basically we just is an experiential device. So let's try to use it every day. Okay. So today, I'm gonna attempt to share what we've learned from the Orlando conference, the Homecoming America 2022. We went there on between May 10 to May 14. It's a short conference, but it is a very exciting conference because we got to meet Marcus, our inventor and owner and scientist of Healy, and also Carolyn, who has been in the frequency field for quite some time, like 20-30 years already. Okay, so they have a very long presentation, so I'm going to just highlight it. I have to talk very fast, okay? So because there are quite a few slides. And in case later on I might get some interruption, so please excuse me, and May can kind of take over because I'm waiting for a call, a doctor's call for my mom. My mom is actually now in the hospital because of dehydration. Yeah. Okay, so let's start. Okay, so this is a 2 days conference. The first day we visit the office. This is a new home of Healy in US. And this is only part of the office where all the customer service is, okay? So we got to take photo. We got to meet people all around different places. And we get to share our passion. So here we met Luciano, who is the U.S. district manager, I believe, right? And of course, the Christian donor, he's the CEO of the company, and Jake Barron is the I think is the director of customer service in U.S. So we got to meet many. These are the goddess. I think we most of us knew them, like Taryn and Sarah. And then after the tour, we got to be treated lunch, which we didn't expect. Outside with lunch and dessert. Yeah, so these are the people like Ken Close, I think most people know, right? Dina, and yeah, we met people all like from different places, and we're so glad. And then later in the evening we have a gala, a homecoming gala. Yeah, so this is where the hotel is. And very exciting that we got to meet Carolyn and Marcus face to face. I can tell, you know what, like these people, they are, I consider them genius because in their own field, they have innovate and so many things, right? And they have spent their life in research in energy therapy and frequency that they have contributed so much for the benefit of humanity. So we got to take photo with them. And you know what, like even though there's so many people taking photo with Marcus, and we can feel his energy, like for each person that taking photo with him, you can feel his energy. You can feel that he's not just like, okay, taking a photo, but he's so connect with you. Also Carolyn, she's so approachable. You know, we talked to her maybe like before the gala around 10-15 minutes. We asked question and she sincerely answered all the questions very patiently, and as if you knew him as a friend already. Okay, it's very, very approachable. I find that the more brilliant a person is, the more humble they are, because they know what they don't know, and they are still very eager to look for truth and to explore more in the field of wisdom, in the field of energy therapy. And we got to meet Dr. Michelle Patrick and Dr. Steve. And then in the evening, we have a party. This is Dina. I don't think Dina is here, okay? She's just using something to showcase her costume. Okay, so we meet people all around different places. And then the next day we have a training, and then these are all the people that we meet. Yeah, just and then we have book signing. The most exciting thing is that we got to be given 2 books, one by Marcus, The Second Path. I started to read it on the airplane and still have to finish them. It is exciting. This is not about science per se, but this is about his journey, his life journey. You know, how even from since he was very young, that how he actually come across it. Okay, May, are you here? I think I have a doctor's call. Can you take over here, this part?
Yes, I can. Hello. Can you guys hear me? Okay, great. So I want to say a couple words. It was, I guess, the highlights. It was nice to meet with the community, as you can see from Michelle's pictures. But really, for me, the highlight was really to hear Marcus speak in person, also Carolyn. And one of the things I want to share with you is um, they actually spent about I think Marcus spoke for about 2 hours, and then Carolyn for 1 hour. They all went overtime. Um, and one of the things that stuck with me like very deeply was he actually took the time to explain his childhood, like the different incidents that happened to him, kind of what shaped him, who he is. And one of the story that he shared was he was I think learning piano lessons from a piano teacher, and somehow I think he got traumatized, and he realized that that trauma was stuck with him for a long time, and then he finally kind of got rid of it um, uh, a few years ago. And it was really funny. He was really funny explaining it, but the point was that why he was explaining all that is that he's trying to explain that everything that happens to us, every person that you meet, all the encounters, it's all part of it kind of becoming who you are. Of course, we know that. But the frequencies, it's all frequencies, and they all remain with us, right? And if you know about the aura scan actually tap into the frequencies of emotional trauma that happened to us when we're a child, or even happened to our parents or grandparents in our ancestor. Like, for example, I don't want to put in too many words there, but like war, devastations that happened to our last generation. I can tell you for myself is that my parents went through a cultural revolution in China. I think that was in the 60s or in the 60s and early 60s. And it was just devastated. It was devastated. And I remember hearing that my mom was telling me the stories. And of course, my parents were traumatized, and I can carry forward that trauma, and that's becoming who we are. He also mentioned that he met Carolyn back in 2014. How it was really monumental how he knew about Carolyn before that, and they finally met, and that basically started the beginning of the partnership, and in the development of MagHealy. As you know, it's coming out in July. We're so excited, but it took years. It really took years to develop such an amazing device.
Okay.
So that's all. Yes, I know. So I just want to share a little bit. I'll let Michelle to continue because I'm like still coughing a lot, and yeah, I just want to just finish by saying that it was just to have the opportunity to attend a live event, to absorb the energy in person. It was just well worth it. I was thinking sitting out there, and at one point in time, which Michelle and I was like kind of worrying about whether or not we should go or not go, whatever. But we just glad we did, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, amazing experience. Yeah, right. Yeah, we were thinking of buying the book and then get them signed. So we couldn't find it because as the Mosabi has been out for a while, and I think the company especially ordered this book for us as a gift, and we're so glad that we actually have them sign and read about their lives and their thinking. Yeah. Okay, so let's go on. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, so I would say this is the spark of when two geniuses met. They have their own field of specialty. They have spent their life in their research for the last few decades, and then they met, and then the sparks, it manifests, it blossoms even more, right? So in the field of microcurrent, in Healy from Marcus, and then Carolyn have the FSM. It's called frequency specific microcurrent, which is one of the application that we use in MagHealy. It actually makes the energy therapy even more better, right? So we'll explain it a little bit later. This is indeed a combinations of two genius wisdom. So we're so glad and we're so blessed to get to know them, learn from them, and actually use as an experience from this health, this tools, right? So Marcus kind of like went through his journey with us. He is a smart guy. He has been a smart guy since he was young. He played piano. He played chess. And then he studied physics. The reason he studies physics is that he's always thinking about the very basic question about life, such as what is a human consciousness, what is a self, who am I? So he thought he can find answer in physics, in the natural science. So he studied physics. But then after he studied physics, he found that the physics can only help you to ask the right question, but yet the answers may not be found in total or very satisfactory. So therefore, he launched, he embarked a journey of a spiritual journey. He spent 12 years as a monk. The reason is that the science, ultimately, it will lead to a philosophical questions about life, about something beyond science. So this is the quest of truth, of spirituality, and he always tried to connect science and spirituality, right? So imagine how many 10 years of our life, right? But he spent 12 years for that. And then after a while, after he learned so much from those great master of the Vedic culture, from the spirituality in the Indian culture, and he found that he has something to give to the world. He found that if he stays as a monk, then he may not be able to contribute more to the world. So he has a mission and a passion and a purpose to try to educate the world, the humanity, how the science can connect with the spirituality. Okay, so that's why he returned to the public. He returned to physics. He involved in many Vedic Academy from 1996, and this is another Vedic Academy. Vedic Academy is to study the human consciousness, how the spirituality and science connect. Okay, that's the main goal. All right, and then he also involved in many different projects. This is the about the architectural, it's like almost like the Chinese feng shui, Vazati Academy, right? And then he also worked with some scientists on some energetic space projects. He worked with the elite in academic world in the university. He has been a visiting professor in the university in India. And here he has his meditation under the foot of Himalayas. Yeah. Quite a journey, right? And finally, here is the castle that where Time Waver and Healy arise. This is his office. I think he kind of lived here too, right? If I'm not wrong, yeah. So this is where he invented Time Waver 15 years ago, right? And then the Healy a few years ago. And he also visiting the university, Taipei University. Now, these are very famous physicists, Chinese physicists. They somehow, they're not just physicists. They study Chinese medicine, they study energy, and they study frequency. So these are elite in the university that also have a like a common research interest, like Marcus. Okay, all these is just some gravitational experiment. Okay, and there's more. This is the talk, and the concept of the energy information field is actually is very similar that what we talk about qi, right? The Tai Chi in the Chinese culture. So actually, the frequency therapy already started at the turn of the century. Yeah, like these are the famous pioneer that already research and also apply the frequency therapy. Dr. Abrams, Dr. Rife, we know Dr. Rife, right? This is Dr. Rife, and then Dr. Clark. We have the Zappa program in the Power 3, right? Part of it is from Dr. Clark. And Dr. Wall also, he innovate a machine that they can test your meridian system. So, and then Dr. Carolyn McMacken, Nunu Nina, yeah. So these are all the pioneers. Oops. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Okay, and Marcus also have all his research and put into the research scientific journal as well in the alternative medical research about how microcurrent frequency have effect on cell membrane potential. These are the team, the research team in his lab. So there are many things in the pipeline. Like for example, the MagHealy, it will come out in July, but this is the work of the last a few years already, right? The research even went back further. So there's a lot of research going on, and there is a roadmap here. Here you can see that they have developed their lab and expand the lab and the research in different topics. Okay, so for example, 2021, the research expanded to the HRV, which is the heart rate variability, and the EEG, right, the brain wave, right, and then in 22, they actually have the first paper from the study result published, and also they have bought something called a Kazira mirror. I don't know how to pronounce it, okay, but we'll explain about this mirror. What does it do? Okay, and then they also will collaborate with more researchers, scientists in the university and the academic world. And then further on, there will be cell culture lab, water lab. So there are more things in the pipeline that is coming. So it is a bright future. So it mentioned that they have like a human-sized Kazira mirror. Now, this is actually, it enables someone to have a extrasensory perception. So it's very interesting. Is that 85% of the test subject report to step out into space. So basically, it can go beyond your actual sensory input, and then you, as if you can sense something in the information field. Okay, so interesting, they say 75% claim to have observed UFO. Interesting. 55% have a telepathic context. Telepathic context means you don't even speak to someone, but you already read what they think and what their emotion, okay? And then there's personality changes occur in 30%. Now, the interesting data is here. The MagHealy actually contains 2 such mirrors in the MagHealy, and also there are 2 quantum sensors. Now, Healy only have 1 quantum sensor, okay, but the MagHealy actually have 2. And also it contains an infrared sensitive quantum sensor that it can sense your body temperature and energy. And the range of frequency is very large, 0.1 hertz to 12.5 megahertz. Okay, so and then I'll go through it quickly. Carolyn presentation is to explain what the frequency specific microcurrent. Now, she used to use the microcurrent in her clinical application, but later on, actually, they develop into the frequency specific magnetic field, the application. So this is the magnetic portion application that is in the MagHealy. Okay, so that's why she explained her story, her research. Okay, so she explained the history of frequency-specific microcurrent, FSM. This has been developed since actually the early 1900s by many doctors and osteopaths in US, UK, and Germany. And it has been used clinically application widely already at the very beginning of this century until 1934. Why until 1934? Because in 1910, the US have a Flexner report suggests that the medicine should be standardized. How do they standardize? Well, they set up the medical organization, neuroeducation, that you only can be in the medical field only if you are trained by the standard or medical organization like university, right? So they actually implement this report in 1934. That's why after 1934, right, the medicine label electromagnetic therapies is labeled as ineffective therapy. And the tools that they use as the mainstream medical institute is drugs and surgery. That's the only tools of medicine. All the other one, nutrition, herbs, homeopathy, and frequency therapies were outlawed. Like this is a very sad reality, because all these helpful therapy has been suppressed, has been censored. Like people, they read people the chance of using all these good way of healing. Yeah, so this is very sad. Okay, and then everyone, most of you might already heard about the frequency specific, the FSM story. Okay, Carolyn start to study as a chiropractor at age of 42 with 2 children. She's a smart lady. She met George Douglas in 1991, and George actually met Harry in 1977. Now, Harry actually was an osteopath and a naturopath from Australia and UK. So Harry brought a practice in Canada in 1946, and come with the practice, there is a device made in 1922, and also come with a list of frequencies. So, like these frequency has been used widely in application, but yet because of the suppression, the censorship, that I think it is kind of get lost somehow, right? So they brought the list home, and then later on, basically Carolyn make use of this list and put it into practice, and find that it is such an effective tools. Okay, so now basically the FSM is based on like using two like a dual frequencies. We will explain later. Okay, one frequency, how come it's 2 frequencies? Okay, we'll explain this later. So this is the part, right? So they say the frequency and the current from 2 different channels will intersect when the frequencies are applied at the same time. So like this is the channel A frequency, this is a channel B frequency. Now they can have additional effect, and they can have the subtraction effect. Now, which portions actually produce effect? No one knows. But a lot of the science is that we look at the outcome and the efficacy, and then we go back to study the mechanisms. So this is what it is, okay, in many cases, right? So that's what it says. Medicine is pragmatic, efficacy first, mechanisms later. So this is actually a lot of how the medicine work. Like as a retired pharmacist, I can attest to it, because when you study like each medication, when you talk about the mechanisms of action, I would say most of them, they say, we're not sure, okay? So this is how the science works. You see a phenomena, you see an outcome, hey, this works. But how it works, We don't know. We just use it. And then later on, we would try to understand the mechanisms behind it. Okay, so most science work that way. And then you postulate a theory, right? And then you try to prove it. Okay, so actually the FSM has been put in use for the last a couple of decades, right? Like it's first used in 1995 to treat muscle pain. And then in 1997, it has been proven to be reproducible, right? And 1998, nerve pain, 1999, fibromyalgia. The frequency benefits and effects are teachable and reproducible. Okay, so that means this is not voodoo. Okay, this is like truly you can reproduce it in different people by using those lists of frequencies. And there are more animal and human study clinical results have accumulated over the next 20 years. So that means it does have a very enriching experience of using it already in a practical environment. So then she talked about what is the resonance. I think we all kind of understand it, right? So when you're in the orchestra, you feel good because everything is, if it's perfectly tuned, like when you listen to the music, you feel the vibe. You feel it can move you, right? Like when you use the tuning fork, you know that when you hit the one tuning fork, then the other tuning fork would resonance. So that's the resonance. And the resonance can be powerful, right? So we all know about this Tacoma narrow bridge, right? When the wind, the frequency of the wind matches the frequency of the material in this bridge, then they amplify. So this is the resonance. And the resonance can be very powerful to actually even make the bridge collapse. So this is the power of resonance. Now, how does the resonance affect human body? Now, this part is very important, okay? Basically, every moving electron creates a magnetic field. We know from our high school physics, when there are electric current, there would be magnetic field. When there's magnetic field, there will create a electrical current. So therefore, your body actually is actually full of moving electrons, and therefore your body has a magnetic field. Every electromagnetic bond has a resonant frequency. Every organ in our body is part of the whole resonant field. Every receptor on every cell has a frequency to which it resonates. Every chemical, mechanical, and electrical bond has a frequency at which it resonates. So the magnetic fields do not stop. They have no edges, no boundary. They can connect, like the field itself can connect, merge, and interact. And George Douglas, the one who found the list, right? Who adopted the list, like he has he shared his thought about the body and the soul. Like how does the body, mind, spirit connect? Basically, it has to do with the resonance. This is this field which can go across the time and space. So this has to do with the information field as well, right? Okay, so this is actually the same concept, right? So in our body, basically in the microscope view perspective, we're all basically made up of molecules, atoms, subatom particles. They are held together by electromagnetic bonds, and every bond has a resonant frequency. Now, it has to do with water, because in our body, we know inside the cell, outside the cell, basically 99.5% we are water. This water is actually a vehicle of information, a vehicle of energy, a vehicle of vibration. So the water in our body actually is not the regular water. If you have read a book from Gerald Pollack, he has a book called The Fourth Phase of Water. So the water, what is the fourth phase? The fourth phase is actually the water is in the liquid crystal structures. So interestingly and wonderfully, the water in our body, inside the cell or outside the cell, between the cells in the connective tissues, actually it forms a structure. It is like a liquid crystal. Then it acts as a semiconductor. And your body is an electromagnetic system that looks like solid, but actually it functions like a semiconductor. So that means when it says it serves as a semiconductor, that means it can receive, it can store, it can transform energy, and it can also emit energy. So we are a vibrant electromagnetic being, right? That because of the water is a wonderful vehicle. Okay, so now there is a theory, the possible mechanisms of how frequencies work and why it works faster. Now, normally, any chemical or metabolic reaction, it has to happen in the cell membrane, because in the cell membrane, there are many receptors. Okay, so for example, like pathogens, bacteria, or any immune molecules or anything, or drugs or nutrients, they are acting on the cell membrane and therefore elicit some reaction inside the cell. So the concept is almost like a key and a lock concept. Now, let's look at the frequencies. Now, frequencies appear to act like this, but it is actually like a remote opening lock. Okay, it's not like these are physical, right? Because drugs and nutrients, you actually have to attach to the receptor to elicit chains of reaction. But the frequencies actually remotely using electromagnetic frequencies to activate the receptor. So that therefore it says that the frequencies appear to influence the membrane protein configuration and cell function electromagnetically with a specific frequency signal. Okay, so there are different specificity that elicit different reaction. Okay, so this is the concept. Now, that's why the frequency seems to, like according to Carolyn, in the clinical experience, it seems to work faster than the medication. Okay, so for example, this is ibuprofen. Now, ibuprofen is a anti-inflammatory and a painkiller. So as a pharmacist, I always tell the patient, you know, after you take the ibuprofen, you may feel the pain relief very fast, but the inflammation may take a couple of weeks to work. That's what we always tell the patient. Why? Because it takes time to elicit all these, there's a configuration change and all this stuff. But yet the frequency work much faster because it is in a different form. The frequency signal is working remotely. And to change the configuration of the cells. This is the possible mechanisms. Okay. Okay, and then is here the frequency are very specific. That's why, like you can use your remote control only open your car, right? Not every car. So this indicates the specificity. Now, how do we know the frequencies affect the imbalances? Because through the experience, the clinical experience, through the research, through the reproducible results. Okay, now how does the FSM work? I think most of us already heard Marcus explain it, Carolyn explain it. So I already explained it a little bit, right? So basically there are two channels because it's a dual frequencies. One is to target the location, target the tissues itself. Okay, the specific frequency appears to resonate with specific targets. For example, if you have shoulder pain, if you have low back pain, if you have a certain tissues that is inflamed, so one channel is going to target that location. The other channel is actually to harmonize the bioenergetic field in that tissues. Okay, so to restore the balance per se, to harmonize the imbalances. Okay, so this is how one of the application of Carolyn, the 24 protocols she chose to apply as one of the application in the MagHealy. Okay, so it says the MagHealy contains the 24 protocols she created, and it can be very safe and effective for most people under most circumstances. But this is not a medical device, so it will not be 100% effective for everyone who uses it. This is normal, this is reasonable, because nothing is 100% effective for everyone, right? So because everyone has, the body is very complex. And there are many things going on in your body. Okay, so now it says the data shows that the frequency effects are real and powerful, but some people may think that, oh, this is like magic. If you have the intentions, then everything will be fine. You cannot be harmed. But actually, Carolyn helped us to put things in perspective. So don't think about this frequency or FSM or the energy therapy as a magic. It's actually a science. It is an applied biophysics. Okay, so she said good intentions and enthusiasm will not save you from ignorance. As you will see, the protocol are very useful. So they set up the protocol. Each protocol, each program, they have their own frequencies designed. But you observe the results and be prudent and respectful. So if it doesn't help you, then you should seek proper medical evaluation. Okay, so she tried to put things in perspective. I don't think this is a magic wand. And when using the frequencies, we cannot make any claim about the effects of the frequencies. We can only say the frequencies combinations harmonize the bioenergetic field. So this is, she tried to practice with us 3 times, okay? What do you say about frequency therapy? Okay, now because of the past history of how the censorship work, how the natural and complementary therapy, especially frequency therapy, are being suppressed. We have to be very careful when we use the machine. Okay, so but yes, it is a safe and powerful method, and it has been put into application since 1997. It's low risk, it's reproducible, teachable, reliable, non-invasive, and comfortable. So this is a very good tool. Okay, so this is about her book, and then she talks. There are even more presentation slides. Okay, so she basically give us some examples of her experience, of her clinical application. Now, for example, these ulcers, basically the sensation has been lost 70%, but then using the FSM, it has healed in 6 weeks. After 6 to 11 treatments. So this is very, very impressive, right? And then also it applied in the lumbar fascial, myofascial pain. Like there are many research studies that already in the journal, in the academic journal. Yeah. Okay, so this is the conclude. Okay. Oops. I really like this. This perspective. Carolyn tried to put things in a perspective, in a holistic approach. So she said the FSM changes the tissues quickly, but you do need to have a manual and exercise therapy, nutritional lifestyle changes for a long-lasting permanent results. Because we human being is a system, it's a holistic system. So you have to look at different angle, different factors that is affecting our holistic health, right? For example, you might have some biomechanical factors, you know, your posture, your structure-wise, right? The structure-wise. or you might have some deconditioning. I think sometimes we already condition our body to a certain stage, but you need to decondition it, right? And then in general health, like nutrition, emotional stress, toxicity, allergies, infections, we have to look at the body as a whole. What factors is actually affecting us? And then we use the frequency therapy as one of the many tools, a very powerful tools to help us. Yeah, in our toolbox, we can have many tools, right? Okay, so I really like this conclusion. Okay, that's the end of my sharing. Thank you for listening patiently. May you have any input?
No, that's really wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me stop the recording. Thank you.